Next on Worcester News Tonight, the preliminary election is now less than a week away. We hear from some who are looking to join City Council for the first time. Plus, police are cracking down on drivers speeding in an area where a jogger was killed last month. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. The countdown clock is now ticking as the city is less than a week away from its preliminary election. Races for both school committee and city council at large have a significant number of candidates running for a seat. Our Cam Jandro spoke to a few of those candidates today and joins us with more. Cam?
Anna, this time next week, we'll have an idea as to who's moving on to November's election. Now, just about all of the incumbents are seeking re-election this year. There's also a couple people seeking that very first time in public office. I talked to a few of them today, and they say Worcester needs some new faces. The preliminary on September 10th will be Etel Hajiai's first election. The community activist is running for an at-large city council seat.
It's been my life's work, essentially, to support community work. And so this felt like a natural step to have a bigger platform.
Hajiai isn't the only candidate vying for their first term in office. Reverend Dr. Jesse Gibson is among the other newcomers in the at-large race.
I think I need to be on the city council to be able to bring that different knowledge, wisdom, understanding to the council.
15 candidates in total are running for at-large this year, including 5 incumbents. Bill Coleman has run for office on and off for 40 years. A longtime Worcester advocate, Coleman is looking for his first win.
Having worked with Ted Kennedy, having worked with Senator Brooke, that politics, getting people to vote, was the way to make change.
There is an opening this year since veteran councilor Constantina Lukes is not seeking re-election. The challengers are hoping to take the open seat and share their priorities.
Housing for all people in the income brackets, whether we're talking about climate change and being a resilient city.
One of the first things I want to take on is our youth. They are the future leader of the community.
But we need housing. I want to see us ultimately down the road build a new police station with all the economic development that's happening in this community.
Now on Tuesday, you'll be able to vote from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. For a full list of the polling locations in your area, you can visit the City of Worcester's website. In the studio tonight, I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
City Councilor Mo Bergman is asking the city manager to look into aspects of banning single-use plastic bags. Bergman filed the order for Tuesday night's meeting. He says while certain bags may be a concern to the environment, some with a handle may be useful for people, particularly the elderly community.
I think there's an argument to be made that although we're trying to reduce the use of plastic bags, there's also a reality that a lot of people rely on those plastic bags, particularly elderly and those that have some physical weaknesses. They're much easier to use the two-handle plastic than the paper. So I think we're trying to balance the environmental concerns with the human need.
Bergman has asked the city manager to look what communities across the state are doing in terms of bans. The City of Worcester has new goals for hiring women and people of color for local construction projects. City Manager Ed Augustus says they're aiming for a more diverse workforce. The goal right now is to have at least 10% of employees be women and 38% be people of color. The new percentages would apply to city-funded projects as well as Worcester Redevelopment Authority projects. The new goals come as an update to the current numbers, which was only 5% women and 10% people of color. Yesterday, Mayor Joseph Petty also announced the city was looking to have a community benefits agreement signed for Polar Park by the end of the month. A Worcester City Councilor is looking into bringing another sports team to the city. This time, it's basketball. During Tuesday night's City Council meeting, Councilor Sean Rose asked City Manager Ed Augustus to consider reaching out to the Celtics organization about bringing the team's G League affiliate to the city. Councilor Rose says he thinks the team would be a perfect fit for Worcester.
We have the Bravehearts, we have the Pirates, we have the Railers, now we have the Worcester Red Sox. We're an up-and-coming sports city, an up-and-coming city overall. It just only seemed right that we would explore that if the Celtics were ever to, change their town or look for other locations or options, and we'd be here ready and waiting.
Rose says there are Celtics fans all over the world, and it would be another opportunity to attract people to the city. A Sutton man is facing charges. Police arrested him at a McDonald's where he allegedly made lewd acts. According to Auburn police, 3 girls reported 50-year-old Brian Bradley exposed himself to them inside the restaurant. He was arrested Tuesday. His charges include open and gross lewdness and disturbing the peace. 2 proposed bills would allow undocumented immigrants living in Massachusetts to get their driver's license. The bill would allow all qualified residents, regardless of their immigration status, to receive a standard driver's license. Senator Harriet Chandler says she supports the bill and believes it will promote safety on the roads.
We can assume that they're going to drive anyway, whether they have a license or whether they don't. I want them to, A, have some driver's education, and B, I want them to have insurance for the sake of everybody else.
A hearing is set for Wednesday at the State House. Pride Week in Worcester continues tonight with a talk on Worcester's role during the AIDS crisis. The discussion was held at the Worcester Historical Museum surrounding the AIDS crisis and how it affected Worcester. Former Executive Director of AIDS Project Worcester, Jim Volz, says when he started in the 90s, the local and state government had little to no services to help combat the epidemic. Volz says he's thrilled to be back in Worcester to discuss what he and his team fought for.
We're going to be talking about kind of the change in the community and how people came together, some of the fights that we had, and now how it's resolved and how people are been wonderful. It was difficult at first, as you know, because Michelle was there when I was, and it was a big fight. But now people are, I think, more understanding, hopefully.
Pride Week continues through Saturday with the Pride Parade starting at 11 a.m. A 51-year-old Millbury man was hit and killed in Sutton while jogging last month. Sutton police say they're still receiving reports of drivers speeding in the same area of that crash, and they're stepping up their patrols. Our Chandler Walsh has the story.
The blue lights are on for a car traveling 20 miles above the posted speed limit. Sutton police are increasing patrols on Singletary Avenue, where a jogger was killed in a hit-and-run last month.
To put it into words, it's very difficult, but it hit us all pretty hard.
Before pulling this car over, Officer William Jakes caught another one going even faster. The department has pulled over dozens of cars on this street since the hit and run, reminding people to slow down.
We all kind of have stepped up and done extra patrols in the area, done extra radar assignments, as well as we're looking for other trouble areas in town.
WILFRED Tremblay discovered the body of Daniel DeLima hours after he was hit. Tremblay says the straightaway is notorious for speeding.
We've got to slow the traffic down on this road, and whatever it takes. I don't care if they put speed bumps in the road, but they've been going too fast here for too long.
Tremblay put up slow down signs near his property and says something needs to change. He's thankful Sutton police are taking action.
You start hitting people in the pocketbook, and that's going to make them wake up. That's the only way.
Officers aim to crack down on speeding in town so a tragedy like DeLima's death doesn't happen again.
My wife and I are having a really hard time with this.
Families live here. My family lives here. There's kids playing in the area here. It's not a speedway.
Residents with speeding complaints or radar requests can call the Sutton Police Department or message their Facebook page. Officer Jake says they'll respond by sending an officer to those areas. In Sutton, Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
A newly approved device allows doctors to treat brain aneurysms in a less invasive procedure. The device has already been used 3,000 times, and doctors at UMass Memorial Medical Center are among the first in the area to use it. Our Aaron Keating explains.
Right at that junction is this wide aneurysm. You see that bulge coming out of that?
Dr. Ajit Puri shows the damage a brain aneurysm caused by weakened blood vessels can do. He is one of 2 doctors at UMass Memorial Medical Center now using the treatment device called Comaneci. This device regulates blood flow while doctors work to repair the damaged blood vessel.
Once we have packed this enough, we can, with a clicker, almost close this device, and this device comes out.
Comaneci was approved by the FDA in May. UMass Memorial is the first hospital in New England to use it. Puri says the device is inserted in either a patient's wrist or groin and does not involve brain surgery.
Next day morning, after breakfast, they can go home, and I kid you not, a lot of time they say, can you give us some proof to show us that we had an aneurysm repaired, because nobody's going to believe we had a brain aneurysm surgery done.
Puri uses the device with fellow UMass Memorial Dr. Francesco Mazzari. He says the symptoms of a brain aneurysm happen quickly and require immediate attention.
So most of the time it's out of the blue. You have this kind of like the worst headache you ever had in your life. And that's exactly when the aneurysm rupture and when it becomes emergent, the treatment of this kind of condition.
Brain aneurysms happen every 18 minutes, so Puri says growing with technology like Comaneci is valuable and saves lives.
As technology moves forward, we have to get on board with these newer technologies.
The Save Notre Dame Alliance tried to save the former Worcester church for months. It was ultimately knocked down last year. Now the group is trying to decide what to do with the bell from the Notre Dame des Canadiens church. The landmark building was built in 1929 but had been vacant since 2007. The diocese closed the church, saying it had fallen to disrepair. City Manager Ed Augustus has asked the group to lead a community discussion on what to do with the bell.
We're interested in seeing the bell become a memorial to the history of the immigrants in Worcester, potentially a memorial to lost architecture in Worcester. But we'd like to get a broader perspective. What do the people of Worcester think should happen with this? What do they think the bell should memorialize?
The Alliance and City will host a meeting Friday at Worcester Pop-Up from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The meeting is open to the public for input.